Hey, what's up guys? It's Matt with the Movement System. In this video, we're going to teach you how to fix your ankles so that way you can fix your game. Imagine trying to jump, sprint, or change direction with one foot in a barefoot shoe that moves well and flexes, and the other foot in a stiff hiking boot. That's essentially what a lot of athletes feel like for years after a poorly rehabbed ankle sprain. And sometimes they don't even realize it. I've consulted and worked with athletes whose ankles have felt off for years. Often, they're still doing the same ankle ABCs and light band exercises they were given a week after their ankle sprain. They never really built back up to full mobility, strength, and explosiveness that they need, and it shows in their movement. Today, I'm going to walk you through a progression that actually works, from unlocking ankle dorsiflexion, supination, and big toe extension, all the way to heavy strength training and explosive plyos. And this isn't just a list of exercises to try, we're actually going to break down the science and the biomechanics behind it so you understand this at a very high level. So this is how you fix your ankles and fix your game. Here's how the video is going to break down. First, we'll cover 4 key aspects of mobility at the ankle. Most people are just thinking about dorsiflexion, but there are 3 other key areas that are often overlooked. We'll show you how to test and see where your mobility is limited and how to restore your movement options. Second, we'll cover strength and stability, showing you truly challenging exercises that are going to actually build your ankle and lower body strength. And then third, we'll show you how to progress to explosive plyometrics to restore full ankle function and power so that way you can jump, cut, and sprint without restriction. Let's go ahead and dive into it. All right, the first critical aspect of foot and ankle mobility is ankle dorsiflexion. I test this with the knee to wall test. Specifically, I put my hand up against the wall and then have the athlete put their toes up to my hand. Then I have the athlete bend at the knee to try to touch the kneecap to the wall without letting the heel come up off the ground. Ideally, you want to have 20 degrees of dorsiflexion range of motion at the ankle. If you can touch your kneecap to the wall in this position, then your ankle has about 20 degrees of dorsiflexion and you're good to go. If not, you're going to want to spend some time mobilizing the ankle. I like working forward and back in this position and even putting the lateral heel up on a wedge to encourage the foot to change shape and allow you to achieve more dorsiflexion. Now this is important, but it's just one of 4 common areas to address with foot and ankle mobility. So let's move on to the next one, and that is foot supination. And this is really where I say that some athletes move like they're in one barefoot shoe and one hiking boot. So here's the test that you'll want to do. It's called the table test. You'll stabilize the forefoot and then let the knee fall out to the side. This is going to test how well your foot can open up or supinate. It's common for athletes to have one side that falls out 30 to 40 degrees and another that is significantly limited, often as little as 5 to 10 degrees. This is often related to a history of ankle sprains on that side. And this is very important, yet very overlooked. You see, an ACL tear is a torn ligament. An ankle sprain is also a torn ligament. We just actually respect the rehab process for one and then largely overlook the other. Yet, both of them impact neuromuscular control, single leg stability, force production, and overall performance. When you sprain your ankle, the peroneal muscles of the lower leg often tighten up. Those muscles wrap under the foot, and essentially, whenever you sprain your ankle and you invert, you overstretch them. They therefore tighten up to try to prevent another inversion ankle sprain. Long term though, this neuroprotective tension actually reduces your movement options and limits your mobility. This is a really long and biomechanically detailed explanation for why a lot of athletes' feet don't supinate well. But it's important because supination is what we use to push off, to jump and cut and sprint. So to bring this all the way back to our initial analogy, if it feels like one of your feet is in a hiking boot or it's stiff like a board and the other is mobile like a barefoot shoe, this could be the reason. So here's what you need to do about it to mobilize that stiff foot and allow it to supinate again. Do this standing torsion drill. Stabilize the forefoot and the big toe on the ground and then rotate the knee out to the side. It will probably feel stiff at first, like you're hitting a wall. Just work through that stiffness and open up that midfoot. Do this for about 2 to 3 minutes, then retest your range of motion with the table test. If your table test improved, you're on the right track. And then the last thing I'll add to this is that I also like to incorporate peroneal stretching. With the peroneals on the lateral leg being tight or shortened, we just need to work them into a lengthened position. And there are a few ways to do that. Basically though, it's sort of like the same position as spraining your ankle. You're gonna wanna invert the ankle to stretch those lateral peroneal muscles. Because remember, they tightened up after that ankle sprain and we need to restore that movement option over time. This can really make a huge difference for helping athletes fix a variety of lower leg injuries or nagging pains and make their lower leg more stable and more powerful. Also, this is a good time to mention that we go into this in a lot more detail in our free hip mobility masterclass. So if you want to learn even more techniques to improve your mobility and your movement options for your clients and athletes, then make sure you register for that. I'll leave a link in the description below. Okay, now let's move on to the third aspect of foot and ankle mobility, and that is pronation. Pronation is commonly thought of as collapsing the arch of the foot. It involves 3 combined movements: ankle dorsiflexion, forefoot abduction, and eversion. Let's clear up a myth. Pronation isn't inherently bad. It's how you absorb force. And therefore, athletes need to have access to a certain degree of pronation to absorb force effectively. It's not really my philosophy to blame certain movements or positions for causing pain. Rather, I feel like it's more often beneficial to free up movement options and spread out stress. I've seen a lot of NFL linemen, for example, and the feet of pretty much every NFL lineman is exactly the same. The navicular bone is basically sitting on the ground. Essentially, they have a really flat foot. That's because you need to have a strong, stable base to push from, especially in a position where the foot is behind the body and the heel is turned in. This is just one example, but really any athlete needs some degree of pronation to absorb force. So there are a lot of cases where athletes have a really high, stiff arch, and they could actually benefit from mobilizing the foot into pronation. You can do this by using the same drill that we used for dorsiflexion. Wedge under the lateral heel to encourage calcaneal eversion, and then work the knee forward and back into dorsiflexion. Do this while looking at the medial arch of the foot and making sure that it's mobilizing. Work this for a few minutes, freeing up that movement option to pronate and change the shape of the foot. This will help you absorb force at the foot better, which often reduces focal stress at other areas up the chain. Okay, the fourth and final aspect of foot and ankle mobility that I want to address is big toe extension. You really need 60+ degrees of big toe extension to sprint and jump well, and many athletes fall short of this. Toe extension is how much your toe lifts up, and a good way to test this is to keep your toe on the ground, but then push your knee forward and lift your heel up. If you have full toe extension, you should be able to sit all the way down on your heels like this, with your big toe staying down on the ground. And if you lack toe extension, then some variation of this position is what you need to work on it. I find that elevating the toes on a wedge can be helpful for making this more comfortable and stretching out the plantar fascia and improving this toe extension range of motion. Like everything else that we've been talking about, test, do a drill to address it, and then retest and make sure your movement is improving. When you improve toe extension, athletes can go straight through that toe and push off rather than going around it and introducing weird kind of rotational dynamics to the foot. Okay, so now that we've freed up your movement options through 4 key areas of the foot and ankle, let's make it all useful with strength and control. And I have 3 great drills that I often go to for this. The first drill is the overcoming isometric ankle iso push. There are a lot of drills out there, and if we're purely looking at what strength drills produce the most force at the ankle, this is at the top. Here's how it's done. Fix a barbell into a rack either by loading it really heavy or by setting it under the spotter arms. For the ankle iso push specifically, you'll need to set the bar at a height that allows you to have a straight knee and an ankle that is plantar flexed with the heel hovering just barely off the ground. This will allow you to contract the calves really hard for an isometric push into that barbell. I like to do that with this protocol. 3-second push, switch ankles, 3-second push. Repeat that for a total of 4 times each side, and then rest for about 2 to 3 minutes. You want to do that for 3 rounds. Basically, said another way, 3 sets of 4 reps of a 3-second isometric push. I've covered this in more detail in some of our other videos, like our 72-second Olympian workout video. Long story short though, this is a great protocol for building a really strong ankle. I have some pro athletes that I train online preparing for their A races and doing these for 1 to 2 months before to really build a strong ankle without a lot of fatigue to impact their run training. Okay, the next drill that I like for building strong ankles is the single leg RDL. Stability is the ability to coordinate opposing muscle contractions. My preferred method for training stability involves a stable surface and giving your foot feedback on the ground. Also, you want a reasonably challenging load. It's important to be able to maintain that foot contact throughout a quality hip hinge movement. You can regress this to a kickstand RDL if you need to start out, but over time you want to build this up to a strong, stable, full single leg RDL. And actually doing the third drill that we're about to cover can improve your stability for the single leg RDL as well. So that third drill is the step up to march with a barbell or a safety squat bar. This one builds force and stability together, which is great for transferring to running, sprinting, and change of direction. Focus on driving down through the front leg like you're stomping or squishing a heavy box. March the opposite knee up tall. And make sure you maintain knee, hip, and ankle alignment. You want to also make sure that you're not leaking energy through the hip of the stance leg by letting it move out to the side. There are benefits to going slow and controlled here with this step up, as well as trying to go for power or being more explosive. Personally, I like to train slow and controlled first and build that stability, and then work on heavier loads, and eventually work on being more explosive. And this is also a good bridge to the last part of building a strong foot and ankle with plyometric. Now this could be a whole video on its own, so let me know in the comments if you want a full plyometric video, but for now I'll just say this. The single leg hop is an excellent plyometric for building up strong functional foot and ankle mechanics. The way that you do this can vary a lot depending on your goals and your level of athleticism. For a relatively novice cross-country runner, for example, working up to being able to do 10 single leg hops in place can be a great stimulus for bone mineral density and strong single leg stability. More advanced athletes will be able to do multi-directional single leg hops and forward single leg hopping, covering more distance. Make sure to build up to this over time because this is a very intense drill. Things like bilateral pogo hops and small bounds are a good way to build up to this over time. I do like to build up to a single leg hop though because it is a great exercise for working on hitting the ground hard and creating large impulses that improve ankle stiffness and carry over to a lot of athletic movements. Okay, so to recap, if you do all three steps correctly, first, freeing up your movement options for dorsiflexion, supination, pronation, and big toe extension. Second, building strength and stability with isometrics, single leg RDL, and step-ups. And third, progressing to explosive plyometrics. Then you'll be on track to having a really strong ankles that can handle any athletic movement that you want to do. If this video was helpful for you, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, and make sure you turn on notifications so that way you don't miss any future videos. You can also head to themovementsystem.com and check out our free resources, our training programs, and our continuing education courses if you want to learn more. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.